Hey everyone, it's Amber from The Sensible Mama, and I thought today we would have a little bit of fun with a topic that is not always that fun. Sometimes I feel like the way that you reclaim your power in situations is to sort of make light of them and maybe try to make an effort to educate some people as well. So as you could probably see from the title, we're going to talk today about things that people say to moms, whether those are new moms or older moms, doesn't really matter. There is no shortage of opinions on how moms should be momming their kids. And I do want to say that I feel like for the most part, people have good intentions when they give advice to moms, when they try to tell you little tidbits to help you out. Like, I really do think that people have the best intentions at heart. But what I wanted to do today was sort of show, reveal, expose, although I feel like that's just got such a negative connotation, the way that some of these things can come across to moms, particularly ones who are already having a tough time. So I asked you guys over on Instagram to just tell me things that people have said to you that were well-meaning but unhelpful, and you guys absolutely just flooded me with these. What I wanted to do today is just go through some of these. There are lots and lots and lots of them, and just sort of break them down and talk about just the humor that we sometimes have to find in the things that people say to us. Now, I want to go ahead and say that some of these are about infertility, some of them are about miscarriage, most of them are not, but there are a few in here that I'm going to talk about. Just kind of judge for yourself whether you're ready to watch a video that talks about some of those issues. If you're not, I totally understand. Go ahead and stop here. For the most part, we're going to keep it lighthearted and just talk about some of these things that you guys submitted to me, and I'm going to give sort of my reaction to those. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. This is one of the ones that I saw a lot of. Like, this came up over and over and over again. Just relax. Getting pregnant will happen once you relax. Just relax. If you're stressed, it won't happen for you. And although I never went through infertility, in fact, I had the opposite. Like, we got pregnant every time we tried. Like, that was it. So I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like I understand what these moms are talking about, but just from like just a sheer humanity level, I can't imagine what that does to a person when you just heap that on top of them. Fertility is something that you don't have control over. Not being able to conceive is already, I think, it's got to be so filled with self-doubt and anger at yourself and your own body, confusion and frustration as to like, why is this not happening for me? Why am I watching all of these people get pregnant like that? And here I am, and I just want a baby so bad and my body won't do it. And then to have someone tell you to just not be so stressed, just relax. I honestly can't imagine how frustrating that would have to be for a person, and not just frustrating, but hurtful. And I think it's really, I can understand someone thinking they're being helpful by saying, just relax and it'll happen. But people always know someone who knew someone who knew someone who was trying to get pregnant, and the minute they stopped trying, they conceived. And I feel like that's got to be the biggest kick in the pants from somebody just like, okay, sure, I'll just give up on my biggest dream of my life and just not worry about it. Of course. The next ones that I saw a lot of actually did have to do with miscarriage. And just as someone who has been there, these really got me down in my soul. And I like I said, I want to keep this light. So I'm not trying to make light of these things, but I do want to tackle them with whatever humor I can find, just to really like help us get our heads around how absurd these things are that people say to moms, right? So I see here, for the baby to miscarry, something must have been wrong. I heard that one a lot, especially since I miscarried my first baby, and people had a lot of comments for me about how, oh, well, a lot of times the first one just has genetic problems and you'll get the next one right. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that I got it wrong. And like this person said, and so many people said in their comments, like, that doesn't make it any better. I'm not going to grieve any less knowing that this baby might have been sick or might have had a problem that I would have had to deal with. Like, I would have gladly dealt with whatever that was. At least that's your attitude when you lose a baby. Like, that kind of thing doesn't help. It just makes you feel angry, I think, at the fact that someone would like even go there. That was still this mom's perfect little baby that she was ready to hold in her arms, and to say, just dismiss it like, oh, well, there must have been something wrong, so it's for the best, is just never, ever, ever what a grieving mother wants to hear. And let's not forget, miscarriage comes with grief. There have been countless studies that have shown that the way mothers and fathers grieve miscarriage is the same as the way that people who have lost a child. And I just feel like we take that way too lightly. This one was another one that I heard a lot. After having a miscarriage, well, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think here's the thing about that statement that feels helpful is you feel like you're infusing hope into a hopeless situation when you say that. You're like, well, at least you know you can get pregnant. You'll try again. And the thing is, I guess that's true, but I also feel like as a mom who has lost a baby that you did plan on holding in your arms, that you did plan, maybe you already got the nursery together, maybe you've already been buying onesies and things like that, to have someone dismiss that baby's life as like, oh, well, at least now we know, now you can try again. And that's actually another one that came up in here quite a lot, was people saying, you'll get pregnant again really soon, don't worry about it. And to be honest, as a mom who's had miscarriages, that was actually the last thing that I wanted to hear, because trying to get pregnant was the last thing on my mind at that time. I remember my OB being like, you need to wait at least a couple of cycles of your period before you try again. And I was like, believe me, I'm going to need more time than that. Trying is the fun part. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine the fury that I would feel if someone said that to me, because I would imagine that trying to conceive after years and years of infertility is the actual opposite of fun. Like, how can you even say that to somebody, honestly? Like, I know that after having a miscarriage, my attitude towards sex was of fear. That this act could lead to the most amazing thing in my life, or it could lead to the darkest despair I have ever experienced. And I can't imagine that someone who has been on an infertility journey for months or years really wants to hear that that's fun. There's no fun or romance in it for a lot of people. Not everybody feels that way, but to just diminish someone's very, very personal and just heartbreaking journey that they're on down to something so blithe as like, at least you're getting to have a lot of fun, wink, wink. I just get out of here. You should work on losing weight after you have this baby. My dad said this. I really can't understand the impulse to comment on people's bodies after they've had babies. I really don't understand that. Like, I just grew a human inside of here. Give me a minute. Like, my body just really needs to take a little bit of a break, and you can cool it. And what makes someone think anyway that they can comment on your body? I don't understand. Do you know how kids are made? Yes, Karen, I do. I have 4 kids. I have a friend who has 5 children. Her name is Sarah. She used to be here on my channel a lot. She would say that she would get this comment too. And I like, obviously, I know how children are made. I'm pretty good at making them. Don't know if you've noticed. And why do we assume that someone doesn't want to have, just because I don't want to have 5 or 6 kids, doesn't mean that there's not someone else who wouldn't love that situation. First grocery run with first kid, he was screaming in the cart. He just wants to be held, someone said. I didn't know about baby wearing. I had a cart cover and delusions of happy baby, LOL. You know what? I hear you there. Like, I had a similar experience where I had taken Roman into the mall. He was pretty new. We had been outside in like 100-degree weather, and my poor baby was sweating profusely. And we walked inside to this mall, and I had literally just stepped in the door, and it was cold inside of there. And I just sort of had to reorient myself for a minute and be like, okay, where's the diaper bag? I need to get a blanket out. Let's get him in some warmer clothes. And before I even had a second to just like put the brakes on the stroller, a woman walked up to me and like screamed at me for having my baby not dressed in warmer clothing inside of a cold mall. And it was just like this girl says here. It was like, she just walked straight up to me and said, your baby is cold. You need to get him warm. And I'm like, first of all, you need to take a bunch of steps back. Second of all, it is 100 degrees outside, and I don't typically dress him for what it's like inside when I'm going to be outside all day long. Third, just give me a second, man. I was on top of it already. So I feel you, girl. I just know. That's so frustrating. And you know what? Maybe my baby does want to be held instead of worn, but maybe I don't feel like doing that right now. Maybe I am so overstimulated and overtouched, and I just need him to just figure out how to be okay right now. That doesn't mean that this mom never picks up her baby. It just means in this moment, I need a second. And if he has to cry for a minute, so be it. And you never know what that mom's next move is going to be. Like, maybe I'm just going to go to the milk aisle and get the milk out, and then I'm going to pick him up because I know I can't hold him and get the milk at the same time. Like, come on. My mother-in-law saying, I didn't do that, have that, know that, and my kids are fine. And she has the clap emojis. No, they're not. That really is my favorite mother-in-laws who like want to give advice to their daughter-in-laws about how to raise children. And like, as you, the mom, you're just like, your son didn't turn out that great either. You fix your son and then I will take advice. Children come with patience. FYI, they don't. That I've never actually been told that one, but I feel like that is the world's biggest lie if people are out there saying that. Children come with patience. No, they don't. Children come with the opposite of patience. Children come with you having to learn patience. That is the truth. They don't come with patience. Here's your baby and a fresh supply of patience. No, I'm actually thankful for having children because there has been a lot of personal growth that I've had to do, just learning how to be patient in those moments that I cannot control with my kids. But that has been a discipline for me. That has been a spiritual discipline and an emotional discipline. And for someone to just be like, yeah, you'll get all this, like a boatload of patience once you have kids, like, no. I'm seeing a lot of comments here about breastfeeding, which is really interesting because I feel like everyone has an opinion on the right way for a mom to breastfeed or bottle feed or whatever. And I've always felt that way because personally I had my own just like struggle with my journey for breastfeeding. And the amount of comments that I have here is actually really insane. I was almost 3 weeks postpartum and my sister texted me and said, you should be pumping now. Oh, thank you. Do you have my schedule, like just on, you have alerts on your phone for when I should be pumping? Oh, honey, you don't need a bottle. Breastfeeding is natural. Your supply will go right back up. You know, that one was one that really bothered me too. I had a whole lot of issues with my supply and I really got tired of the number of people who with the best intentions would try to tell me that there were just so many ways to get my supply back up and like, you don't need to worry about trying to bottle feed. Just keep on doing this awful thing that is causing you and your child so much emotional and mental and physical discomfort. Like that one's really hard for me. I get triggered by that kind of conversation because for some of us, there was not a way to get supply up. And I think that it's unfair. I think people always have the best intentions here. They really are advocates for breastfeeding and all of the amazing health advantages and benefits of it. And they want to keep people hopeful and encouraged and feeling like they can do this. So I don't mean to slight that at all, but when you've really tried everything you know to do and you've reached out for support from other people and from experts and like nothing is working and someone just tells you like just keep at it, that is just enormously frustrating. And I think sometimes as a mom you also have to stop and say, for me it was this way, like all I wanted was to breastfeed this baby and I have tried everything and probably I could keep trying. And I'm sure I've heard all the stories about people getting their supply up even when it seemed hopeless. But at this point, I don't personally feel that that's my journey anymore. I don't feel like I can do it anymore. I'm becoming a bad mom. I'm becoming frustrated and overwhelmed and I'm snapping at my husband and my kids and my coworkers. And I need to release myself from this right now. And I'm going to give my kid a bottle. And there's just so many moms I've spoken to have talked about that moment when they first give that baby a bottle and the bottle fills them up and the baby takes the bottle away and is just like happy and content. And you just breathe this sigh of relief of like, I knew it. I knew that this baby was not getting enough to eat. So again, I don't want to discredit the people out there who are advocating so hard for breastfeeding. I think that is amazing, but it can be so unhelpful sometimes when you are literally at the end of your rope and you're mixing up that bottle of formula and feeling like you're putting your hope here now, and then someone wants to act like you have checked out as a mom or you're not doing everything you possibly could, when in your mind, this right here, this action that you're taking is the best thing you can do. Well, and here's one that's the opposite direction too, so let's just be really fair. My family kept telling us to use formula instead of breastfeeding because of reflux. You know, that's gotta be just as frustrating too. Like, breastfeeding is hard. Not everyone enjoys it. Some people just like are doing it because they feel that it's right. And then to be on that journey and to be so dedicated and you're like making all of these sacrifices to make this work because it's what you believe is best for your child, and then have someone trying to force down your throat that you should use a bottle has got to be just as frustrating. Like, man, this is hard enough. This is hard. And you trying to like tempt me with something that would for sure be easier when I'm trying so hard to make all these sacrifices, like that sucks. There's two like that are right here next to each other, which are really interesting to me. One says, my toddler has special needs. People always tell me kids learn at different rates. Like, I know this is different. And then the one right next to that says, asking if my 2-year-old is special needs. Like, what? Yeah, that's crazy. Like, Having not raised a child with special needs, I feel very uncomfortable making any kind of statement or comment to a mom who is raising a special needs child, or who may be going through that, or like maybe pre-diagnosis with a kid like that. Like, how do you feel like it's your place to say this kind of thing to somebody? I don't understand that, and I feel really bad that people are getting comments like that. Like, their own personal journey is just, ugh. Boys will be boys, said to me when I'm correcting bad behavior. No, these boys will know better. Thank you. I saw this one a lot. You think things are hard now. Just wait till they ... Yeah, there's a lot of those here. Just wait until insert age. You ain't seen nothing yet. And the whole issue of like, you think this is hard, wait until they're bigger. No, ma'am, it's all hard. It's different hard, but it's not more or less hard. When I look back on having my first newborn, I remember how frustrated and overwhelmed I was, and I felt like this was just the hardest thing I had ever done in my life. Now that I have 2 kids, I often joke to the people who I love and who know me and say like, oh my gosh, I was able to get out of the house with just Abby today, or just Roman today, and like it was like having no kids with me. It's so easy with 1 kid. But I'm always really careful when I talk about that with people who have only 1 child, because the only reason why 1 feels easy to me now is because I'm used to 2. So having 1, you've divided my load by 50%. So yeah, take away 50% of anything that's hard, and it's going to feel a lot better. But you got to be careful the way that you talk to people who only have 1 kid about this kind of thing, because having 1, I can remember how hard having 1 child was, and how overwhelmed I felt, and how invalidated and hurt I felt when someone who had more kids or had older kids felt the need to remind me that whatever I'm going through isn't that bad. You're still nursing him, in reference to my 13-month-old. Can we just cut that out? Can we just really cut that out? Like, mom should just be able to breastfeed whenever, however long they want to. Period. If it's not your boobs, it's not your problem. Sleep when the baby sleeps. Okay, should I shower when baby showers and cook dinner when baby cooks dinner? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I do not want to hear how terrible your teenager is. Yep. This goes back to breastfeeding, but how easy breastfeeding it is, and that I just need to read such and such book and my issues will be fixed. Yeah. Next. If you lost some weight, you would probably get pregnant. Well, thanks bunches. Older ladies that tell you how babies should be dressed, too warm, too cold. What is it about these older ladies? Like, and I don't mean any offense, but I've just noticed it's like the grandmotherly types who always have comments to me about how my babies are dressed, and I'm like, who are you? You should teach your children to sleep in their own room so that you can sleep alone with your husband. You know, there's 2 of these types of comments here, and why? What I do in my bedroom or not do in my bedroom is none of your business. So guys, I'm going to end this video here mostly because I have a bunch of other things that I do have to get done today. I could go on for hours with these comments here, and I gotta say, personally, it was just cathartic to see that other moms are having these things said to them as well, that all of us moms just feel constantly criticized, and we feel like people sort of disguise backhanded comments as like, here's a tip, here's a little nugget for you. And it's just so unhelpful and so exhausting. So I don't really know if this video has a point. Like, I usually try to make videos that like by the end of it, we all feel inspired or like whatever. I don't really know if there's anything inspirational here, because I think if you follow my channel, you already know what this is like. You're a mom yourself, you deal with this. So if there's anything that I could say, just be encouraged that you're not the only mom going through this. You're not a bad mom because people are criticizing you. It seems like we just live in a world now where people feel entitled to share their opinion on just about anything, and that's fine, I guess. That's they can do what they want, but we just have to understand that that's what's happening. It comes down to people lifting themselves up and showing the world what good moms they are by pointing out something that's wrong with you. Because I think anyone who actually wanted to help, anyone who was really concerned about the safety of that child or whether that child was warm enough or was getting the best possible nutrition, like if they really felt that way, they would take the time to phrase it in a way that you could hear it and you could appreciate it and not come down on you in a way that just makes you shut down and just stop listening to whatever they have to say. So I guess my advice is take the good advice when you get it. It's probably rare, but try to be open-minded. All of us need to try to be open-minded when we do get that advice that could be helpful. And we need to separate that and put it aside from the people who are just making comments because they think they can, because it makes them feel better about themselves, or because ultimately they think it's going to show the world how much better they are. With that said, I'm going to go. Of course, leave me your comments down below if you have had a well-meaning but unhelpful thing said to you, and tell me how you dealt with it, because girl, I don't know how to deal with it. I just shut down. Love ya, mean it always. Mwah! And I'll see you in the next one.